Now let's take a look at how to manage our switches. Keep in mind that a switch is a layer 2 device. Switches make their decisions based upon MAC addresses. However, in this discussion, we're going to be giving the switch an IP address, an IP address being a layer 3 address. Why would we give the switch, a layer 2 device, a layer 3 address? For one purpose, for the purpose of management. Let's take a look at how to do that. Starting from the user mode prompt of the switch, note that there is no host name by default on the switch. We type in the word enable. That then puts us in privilege mode, indicated by the privilege mode prompt here. Type config T, configure terminal. That puts us into global configuration mode, at which point we can now set a host name. Host name, let's set a host name Raleigh. Notice now the prompt changes here, and we're still in global configuration mode. Now we can set the enable password, enable password, and we'll set an enable password of Jones. Remember, the enable password is going to be used in the future anytime a user types the word enable. They will then be prompted for this password right here. We bypassed it before because there was no password set already. Now we can set an IP address for the switch. Notice we're setting the IP address in global configuration mode because this IP address would be used globally on the whole switch. One IP address to manage the entire switch. So the IP address 10.1.1.10 with a mask. I'm going to write the mask underneath here to save space. 255.255.255.0 there. Now this IP address can be used in the future to manage the switch, and we'll take a look at that in a minute here. How about we set a description on one of the interfaces? From global configuration mode, we type interface. Assuming we're on, say, a 2950 switch, interface fast Ethernet 0/1. This indicates the module and port, even though on the 2950 there's only one module. I think the switch has sort of a delusion of grandeur there. It thinks that it's got multiple modules, but there's really only one. We still have to indicate that 0 for the module in the syntax there. So interface fast Ethernet 0/1. This puts us in interface configuration mode on the switch, at which point we can set a description. And we'll say description RAS server. This description has no actual influence on the way frames are being forwarded. However, it's useful to have these descriptions on different ports and interfaces on the switch and the router just for user comfort, to assist you in troubleshooting and to go back in your diagramming. Now that we've got a description set here, in that interface configuration mode, we could also set some other parameters. We could set parameters like the speed of the link or the duplex settings. We could set those here, all in interface configuration mode. Note before we indicated that we set up an IP address on the switch for the purpose of managing the switch. If we're on router A over here, here's the switch we just configured. If we went back to router A and console into router A and issued the show CDP neighbors command, we should see the information, the CDP information from the switch, from the neighboring switch. If we do a show CDP neighbors detail, however, we're going to get the IP address of that switch as well. Now that we have the IP address of that switch, we can ping that IP address to ensure that we have layer 3 connectivity. We've got layer 2 connectivity because we're getting CDP updates, and of course layer 1 is operational. But we ping Packet Internet Network Groper. We issue the ping command to test layer 3 connectivity to the switch. Now that we verify that, we can then telnet to the IP address of that switch, and then that will give us an actual command prompt, just as if we were actually on that switch using telnet. So those are a few of the basic commands that you can use to set up and manage your switch. Remember, the switch, though it is a layer 2 device, uses a layer 3 address for the purpose of management.